I will serve as your moderator today. We want to thank you all for attending this session of the Strategic Enrollment Management Series. These sessions are being offered by the Community College System Office and the Strategic Enrollment Management Task Force. Before I introduce today's speakers, I would like to share a few housekeeping rules. Please mute your computers or phones. This session is being recorded and we want to be respectful of all background noises. Also, if you have questions, feel free to ask or put them in the chat. Now to introduce today's speakers. Dr. Ashley Seaman is the Director of Analytics and Reporting for Research and Performance Management at the North Carolina Community College System. Dr. Seaman has 20 years of experience working in higher education and student affairs and has been with the North Carolina Community College System for 4 years. Elizabeth Stoddard is a business intelligence analyst with a focus in research and performance management at the North Carolina Community College System. Elizabeth has worked with educational data and analytics since 2010. She specializes in turning data into useful information and making it available to users in engaging ways. Michael Faulkner is the Executive Director for Institutional Research at Surrey Community College. Prior to entering education, Michael worked for Oracle Corporation for 5 years, serving major Fortune 500 firms across the southeastern United States with data and data management applications. Daniel Rakowski is the Director of Institutional Research at Surrey Community College. Daniel has worked in the IT field for education and healthcare sectors for 10 years. Daniel then moved into the federal consulting business for software as a service provider for 3 years before returning to work at Surrey Community College. We welcome you all. I will now turn it over to Dr. Seaman.
That's fine.
Hey,
That's fine. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. McCormick, and thank you all for joining us today. We're excited to spend this next hour and a half talking with you all about how we can, as a system, begin to use data more effectively for enrollment management and planning and decision making. I serve on the Enrollment Management Task Force as the System Office data subject matter expert and have been excited to engage in this work for the last 2 years as we have begun to launch new public-facing dashboards for the state. Our team, Research and Performance Management, is primarily responsible for state and federal reporting, and we do all of our reporting with the data you all provide to us through your file submissions to the system office. So today we're going to highlight some of the ways we use that information to develop insights and information that you can use for enrollment management. We're really excited to have partners in Surrey Community College. We have had several meetings with Surrey over the past 2 years as we have launched our dashboards and are really excited to have them share how they are using the dashboards as a launching pad to do some very interesting and exciting work for their campus community. So I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth Stoddard, and she's going to highlight what is available to you from the system office currently, and then we will turn it over to Surrey, our colleagues from Surrey, to talk about what they are doing locally, and then we hope to reserve about 15 minutes at the end to have some conversation and questions from the audience to talk about how you're using data locally or how you would like to begin using data if you're not currently using data for enrollment management. So we will reserve that time at the end for questions, but do feel free to type questions in the chat. I will be monitoring, as well as Dr. McCormick, throughout the presentation, and as you have questions, we will do our best to answer them. All right, Elizabeth, over to you.
thank you, Ashley. Hey, everybody. It's Elizabeth Stoddard. I'm excited to be here today to talk about data and dashboards. I'm going to share my screen here. So I've been at the system office for about 2 years, and my primary responsibility here is to develop public dashboards that we use with the data that the colleges submit to us. And these dashboards are all on our website. I'm going to start by showing you how to get to them. So I'm starting here on the ncommunitycolleges.edu homepage, and I'm going to click on this little icon in the top corner with the 3 lines. That's going to bring up this new menu here. And I'm going to click on Analytics and Reporting here, and this will bring us to the Research and Performance Management homepage. The section in the top left here is the dashboard section. So I'm going to click on Read More. And now we're at the dashboard homepage. Our dashboards here are organized by theme, and if you click into any of these headings here, you will see the dashboards underneath. I just clicked on overviews, and you'll see that we have 3 kind of overview summary dashboards right now. One giving an overview of the state performance measures, one related to dual enrollment, and one related to CTE Perkins 5 indicators. Our access theme is related to, of all of our potential population of students, of community college students in North Carolina, who is actually coming to our schools. So the 3 dashboards that we have here right now are in that theme. So there's a dashboard about the rate of high school dually enrolled students among all of our high school students who is dually enrolled at the community colleges. And then post-secondary enrollment is, those dashboards are telling us, are giving us an idea of all of the high school graduates over certain periods of time, how many or what percentage of those are enrolling in the community colleges and other state systems. I'm gonna spend more time here in a couple minutes, but the student enrollment theme has these, right now it has these 4 dashboards about headcount enrollment, and I'm gonna come back and dive into one of these in a few minutes to show you what you can see here. We have FTE related dashboard, so instructional activity FTE and actual and budget FTE dashboards here. Our student progress theme, this one has a number of our performance measure dashboards underneath here, and these dashboards are related to, like, once students are enrolled at your schools, how are they performing? What sort of progress are they making? Our student success theme also has dashboards related to our performance measures, and these are more about the success of students, so completion and performance and licensure and certification exam results. Our programs and instruction theme has a number of dashboards related to different programs that we have that our schools offer. So you'll see we have a basic skills program participation dashboard here, and I'm going to jump into that in a little while. We have a few dashboards related to CTE Perkins 5 programs. We have some dashboards related, these course dashboards are more on the instruction side. So course enrollments, course outcomes, grade distributions. And then we have a number of dashboards here related to dual enrollment programs. And I'm gonna jump into one of these in a little while too, to show you what you can find here. And then lastly, we have a theme related to faculty and staff. So this is where right now we have an employee headcount dashboard and a faculty salary comparison dashboard. So that's what we have right now. We're adding new dashboards to these lists all the time. We try to do a release every month or so. So it's definitely worth checking back often to see what new dashboards we have. Our next release is in a few weeks, and we'll be putting some new basic skills dashboards on our website then. And then also we update these dashboards regularly. As often as we get the data in, we update them. So for some of them that's monthly, for some of them that's every term, and for some of them that's annually. So, everything is always being updated here and everything's always changing. So it's a good idea to keep looking and keep seeing what's new here. So next, I'm going to jump into some of these dashboards, and I'm just going to show you what's available. I don't think I'll walk through every feature and function in the dashboards, but I'm just going to try to give you an idea of what you can find and what you can learn in some of these dashboards. So I'm going to start under the student enrollment theme. And you'll see we have 4 headcount dashboards here. The total headcount dashboard is looking at all of your students across the 3 academic levels here. And then we have a dashboard specific to each academic level. So curriculum, your curriculum students, your CE students, and your basic skills students. That's what you can find in each of these dashboards. But I'm gonna show you the total headcount dashboard just to kind of give you an idea of what you can find here and what you can learn here. These 4 headcount dashboards are pretty similar, so hopefully this will give you a good introduction. All of our dashboards are organized similarly in that they have a number of different tabs across the top here. And these tabs offer different views of the data and different disaggregations of the data. And I'll show you what that looks like in a few minutes. And all of our dashboards have this kind of sidebar over on this on the right side. And this is where you can find notes and filters and legends, if there are legends, and information about our sources. Any filters that you see over here that are in red font, that's an indication that that filter, if you make a change on that filter, it'll carry through to the other pages of the dashboard. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I'll click on 2020 fall here just to show you how it works. And this is just showing us like a state overview of headcount enrollment in fall 2020. These different tabs show, as I said, different views of the data. So we can see enrollment over time. We have some new filters here. We can select a school to look at from our first select college filter here. And since we're here presenting with our friends from Surrey Community College, I'm gonna go ahead and select Surrey from my list here. I hope that's okay with you guys. But I just changed my selection to Surrey, so now we're looking at trends in Surrey, and then we can also compare that to another school if we want to, or we can leave it as the NCCCS comparison. And another cool thing you can do is so for all of the overtime views here, you can select whether you want to look across reporting years, which is what we're seeing now, or spring, fall, or summer terms. So if we change that selection here, now we're looking across fall terms. We have 4 fall terms in this data set. And the most recent one is our most recently completed fall term, which is fall 2020. So that's what we can see here. And then on our dashboards, we try to give you the ability to look at these views in different ways. So like, for example, on this one, I can do show graph by total enrollment, which is what we're seeing, which is just the total enrollment across time. And I just clicked on the legend here to highlight the data points. Or I can show graph by academic level. And this just breaks out that total enrollment by our academic levels. So we're seeing those who are enrolled in curriculum only, those who are enrolled in workforce CE only, basic skills only, and then this multiple ACAD levels are those who had like curriculum and Con Ed enrollment, curriculum and basic skills enrollment, or basic skills and Con Ed enrollment, or all 3 of the academic levels. And you can see that's a pretty small percentage of our student population. The next few tabs here just give us the ability to disaggregate our trends. So this is where, you can look at your headcount enrollment trends disaggregated by sex, male versus female, disaggregated by race, ethnicity, and so on. You can see the rest of these demographics. I'm actually going to jump over to this residence tab. This is kind of a cool view that shows us where our students are coming from. And we have this at the state level, at the county level, and at the zip code level. So, so this is showing us, we're still looking at Surrey Community College, and we're looking at fall 2020 right now, although we can change that selection if we want to. And, we can see that most of the students enrolled at Surrey in fall 2020 came from North Carolina, but, 2% did come from Virginia. Surrey is kind of right on the border there. So that's an idea of what you can see on this page. You can also see that they had one student from California. The next tab allows us to do that look at the county level, the North Carolina counties, and the highlighted area on the map here, those are the service areas for Surrey. This just gives you an idea. You can see that most of Surrey's student enrollment coming from their service area and the surrounding counties, but it does go out into the rest of the state as well. This county over time view gives you a view of the counties from which your students enrolled over time, over this 4-term period in this case. So each of the lines represents a county, and you can click on a county at the bottom here, and this is telling us that most of Surrey's enrollment or more of Surrey's students came from Surrey County than these other counties, and the second greatest one was Yadkin County, which are their 2 service areas. And we also have similar views at the zip code level as well. So that's what we can see here. Most of our dashboards try to or do incorporate some sort of peer comparison, and that might look different on different dashboards. It just kind of depends on what the metric is for the particular dashboard. But on this headcount enrollment dashboard, we do have a college comparison of headcount enrollment by college. So what we're seeing on the top here is the height of the bar represents the enrollment for each college. And then we can, in fall 2020, we can sort the graph from high to low as well. So, that just gives you a statewide kind of comparison of enrollment in fall 2020. And on the bottom here, we're looking at our selected college, which is Surrey, and we can see the enrollment over these 4 fall terms, plus their system-wide ranking in enrollment, which is this number at the top here, 18. So a ranking of 1 would be the highest headcount enrollment, and a ranking of 58 would be the lowest headcount enrollment. So, this is telling us that for fall 17, 18, and 19, their rankings were 18, 19, and 17. But for fall 2020, that dropped a little bit down to number 23 system-wide. Let's see, all of our headcount dashboards also have this share tab, which allows us to see the percentage of students in your county or in your service area who went to your school and all of the other schools in the system. And let me show you what this looks like. So if I select Surrey County here on this map on the top, this visual on the bottom will update to show us of all of the community college students who live in Surrey County, these are the schools that they went to. So 86% of community college students in Surrey County went to Surrey, but 7% went to Forsyth Tech, 3% went to Wilkes, and then, you know, you can hover over the rest of these bars to see the rest of the schools. And again, this is looking across all academic levels. The other three dashboards, the curriculum and Con Ed and basic skills, would give us this view for each of the academic levels. And we have this not only by county, but also by zip code as well. So you can get, you know, really granular of all of the students of all of the community college students who live in this zip code, 27053. A little over half of them went to Forsyth, and a little less than half of them went to Surrey. And then we also have overtime views for each of these share tabs as well. And then the last tab on this dashboard is a percent change view. So this allows you to select two fall periods, and you can see the percent change across the state in total enrollment over that period. So orange colors represent a decrease in enrollment, and you know, I think most colleges saw a decrease in fall 2020, so that's why we're seeing a lot of orange across the state. But that's what you can learn here. And again, on our other dashboards, you can look just at curriculum, just at Con Ed, just at basic skills. And then all of our dashboards end with this metric details tab, which gives us a description of the dashboard. It outlines the calculations and the definitions in the dashboard, and it lists the data sources and when this dashboard was last updated and what data it's current through. So as I said, this dashboard is current through fall 2020. When we get the spring 2021 data in, it usually takes a couple weeks probably from the submission deadline to when the dashboards are updated. So we try to get you the data as quickly as we can. And then these links are cutting off for some reason, but when we can on our dashboards, we also include data downloads, and that's what we're seeing here. If I click on it, it will open an Excel file that shows just the data that went into the dashboard. So you can take that and kind of do your own analyses on it if you have additional analyses that you want to do that aren't included on the dashboard. And all of our different disaggregations are broken out here on the bottom of this Excel sheet in different tabs. So that's an overview of our headcount enrollment dashboards. And you know, our intention is that you can look at those dashboards to see trends in your enrollment, to see, you know, especially looking by demographics, you can see which if there are any trends to notice in declines in enrollment versus increases in enrollment, that, you know, these dashboards are a good place to see that. I'm just going to jump into a couple other dashboards that show us similar things, but for different populations now. So the dual enrollment programs dashboard, again, is showing us trends in enrollment, but now we're looking just at our dual enrollment students. So this is going to take a minute to open here. Sometimes our dashboards can be kind of slow. They're hosted on a Tableau public server, which unfortunately means that we have to share resources with everyone else trying to get onto Tableau public at this time. So sometimes you might run into these slight lag times when you open our dashboards. So this is a dashboard showing just dual enrollment over time. Again, we have these filters on the right here that I showed you before. You can select your college, you can select the time frame to look across. And here we can look at all dual enrollment over time, or we can disaggregate these graphs here by dual enrollment type, which it's going to take a minute to update, sorry. When it updates, it's going to just break out these colors into the different dual enrollment categories. So CCP pathways versus the cooperative innovative high schools on the bottom here. Or we can disaggregate by dual enrollment pathway, which will, take another couple seconds here. And now we're seeing trends by pathway. And this dashboard too has a number of different tabs across the top that give us different disaggregations of the data. We have, the geographic location disaggregation here, which breaks down the dual enrollment by county and by zip code. The demographics tab is going to be a breakdown by the different demographic categories that you saw on the headcount enrollment dashboard. We have a view of dual enrollment by program. We have core information related to courses, total courses and average course load. You can see that in these different pages across the top, and then a pathway comparison here too. This will give you a lot of information about your dual enrollment students and trends that you can see in dual enrollment. And sorry, this is taking a while. I'm going to just very briefly show you another dashboard looking at a specific program. I'm going to go into this basic skills program participation dashboard. And this is looking at basic skills participation. And again, we're seeing the head count over time of our basic skills participants. And we can show this graph and either overall, which is what we're seeing, or we can break it down by program, which is going to disaggregate it into our basic skills programs, adult basic ed, adult secondary ed, and English language acquisition. And then these next tabs show different disaggregations of the participation trends in basic skills by these different disaggregations. And then we also have program comparisons here by our same demographics and student characteristics. So I know that there's a lot here, and I know that I'm going through this very quickly. I just want to kind of give you an overview of what you can find in these dashboards, and invite you to reach out if you have any questions as you're going through these in your own time after this session, because we're always happy to talk you through the dashboards and to answer questions and explain anything. But again, I just wanted to kind of show you what you can find here. Another thing I want to highlight, and this will probably be the last thing that I have time for, I wanted to show you our peer comparison. So as I mentioned earlier, we try to incorporate some form of peer comparisons on our dashboards whenever we can. And sometimes that looks like what we saw on the headcount enrollment when we're just comparing headcount or whatever metric across all of the colleges. But sometimes we have a different type of peer comparison, and I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to open our first year progression persistence dashboard, peer comparisons. This is one of our performance measures, and what we're looking at here is the rate of first-time credential seeking students in this case, fall 19. So first time students in fall 19 who graduated prior to or enrolled in post-secondary education during the following fall term. So this is basically, of the fall 19 first time students, looking at them a year later, who is still enrolled or who graduated. That's what we mean by progression persistence. And this overview is showing us across all colleges what was the rate at each of these colleges. And this is where we can start getting into these kind of more detailed peer comparisons. So this graph has a number of different ways to sort it. Right now we're looking at it alphabetically. I can sort it high to low, which will, just show us the college with the highest rate over here on the left and the lowest rate on the right. And then I can start sorting it by peer groups. So these are peer groups that my office developed, and we have them in a couple of different ways here. So we have a peer grouping based on FTE size from a scale of 1 to 10. So each of these, each college is put into one of these categories based on their FTE size. So the colleges on the left here with a 1 are going to be the smallest colleges, and the colleges on the right here with a 10 are going to be the largest colleges. And sorting the graph this way shows us, you can see where your college is. So I'm going to click on Surrey again, and it should highlight in yellow. Yeah. So now we can see where our college is among those colleges that are similar in size to our college. And then the horizontal line across is the average for that group. So you can see whether you're below your group average or above your group average. We also have a grouping based on enrollment under 18, which is our proxy for dual enrollment. So this is, these colleges on the left here are the ones who had less than 21% dual enrollment. And these colleges on the right here are those that had the greatest amount of dual enrollment, over 40%. And again, you can see where your college falls among colleges who are similar to you in the amount of dual enrollment you have on your campus. We have a peer grouping for minority enrollment. So again, the colleges on the left are those with less minority enrollment. The colleges on the right are those with more minority enrollment. And then these last two, prosperity zone, this is a Department of Commerce designation, just based on where in the state you're located. You can see the different categories across the top here. And then county distress tier is based on the Department of Commerce classification of county distress. So the 1, that's going to be your more rural counties, and then the 3s are going to be the more urban counties. So that is, that's what we can find on this overview tab. The rest of the dashboard gives us the ability to look at how, so I selected Surrey before, but here you can first of all get a list of your peers based on these different categories that I described earlier. We also have another one here for neighboring colleges. You can see who those colleges are that share a service area with you. And then the rest of these tabs of this dashboard allow you to compare your rate on this metric, which is first year progression, against NCCCS and against your neighbors and against your peers. So you can see, against all of the colleges in the same FTE size as me, as Surrey, the aggregate of the average of their success on this outcome was 66.3, and the average of my success or Surrey's success was 65.2. So I'm doing a little bit better than those colleges who are of the same size as me. And then you can do that comparison for all of these other peer groupings as well. You can also select individual peers if you want to as well. You can do that on the Select College page. And we have this view by different demographics and characteristics and academic level characteristics too. And I think that my 30 minutes are up. So there's a lot more that I could show you here. But unfortunately, I don't have time right now, but please, take a look at our dashboards. And if you have questions or suggestions or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, because we're always happy to answer questions and talk to you about what we're doing and how we can do it better.
Elizabeth, before you jump away, could you just highlight our access theme for folks? We did have a question about, is there data on the percentage of students who don't plan to pursue higher education? So this is a really interesting question and something we're interested in exploring around the access theme. But the question is, of course, where does the data come from? So many of our access dashboards that we have mocked up are based on census data or the American Community Survey. And, we're reliant on those external data sources to give us some information about the populations at large. But one of the things that we were really excited to do last year was partner with DPI and the UNC Demography Center to do a deep drill down into post-secondary enrollment of North Carolina high school students. So this is a dashboard that you could explore that gives us some information about where our North Carolina high school students are enrolling in post-secondary. And it's been something that we've partnered with our LEA counterparts. We've done presentations with them. They're using these dashboards to look at post-secondary enrollment. And we hope that you find this type of information helpful. I think there is a lot of value in crossing the sector lines and sharing data and looking at how students transition from K-12 to the community colleges to UNC. And I'll talk a little bit later about data quality and kind of the completeness of our data in our current warehouse. As we make improvements in that space, I think the opportunities for doing that type of partnership work where we are able to join data sets across sectors is going to increase. And it's definitely something that's on our roadmap. But I wanted to highlight this access theme because it is part of our strategic plan and is an area that we have several dashboards mocked up. We just haven't released them. They're scheduled, I think, for the summer to be able to release some information related to the population that is a potential population for you to serve. Most of our dashboards to date have been focused on the population that we are currently serving. And we know that enrollment management, you have to consider both when you're looking at the whole pipeline. So that's something to look forward to. And yes, thank you, Michael Cobb. I'm going to just put a note in the chat. Your IE team is a great resource for you. We're hoping to model that today through our partnership with Surrey, and they can talk about how your IE team can use these dashboards and this publicly available information as a jumping off point for expanding data capacity and data knowledge and data understanding locally. And I think Surrey is going to be a great example of that. But you're always welcome to ask us to come out to do a dashboard demo or presentation about a specific topic or for a specific college. And we will always, partner with your IE team to do that so that everyone is in the loop and can continue to leverage these dashboards. So I'll put that note in the chat. And now we'll turn it over to our partners at Surrey. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Okay, great. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Seaman and Dr. Hickman both for the opportunity to present to you all this morning. We're very proud of our dashboards and our partnership with the with the system office. They've been a huge help. All of the dashboards that you're going to see this morning are a product of a team effort here at Surrey Community College involving both Robin Slate as well as Daniel Rakowski. Daniel has been kind enough today to navigate the dashboards for me. So in maintaining proper social distancing in our current COVID environment, we'll be wearing our masks. So I apologize if it's hard to hear me. The main thing we wanted to do is show you how, as a follow-up to all of the work that our friends at the system office have done, we pick up where they leave off, basically. They provide us a complete view of the state of North Carolina, as well as how all 58 colleges are doing. But Dr. Shockley, roughly about 4 years ago, our president here, had the vision that said, you know, what I really want to do is I want to be able to look deep into my courses and into my classrooms, and I want to begin to understand, you know, just exactly what is the health check of my organization, recognizing, and the enrollment committee is the obvious place to have this discussion, that retention is the new enrollment. You know, that's a popular buzz phrase right now that seems to really drive home the point that what we really need to do is understand our failing student population. And Dr. Shockley made it one of our charter roughly a year and a half ago when we created the institutional research organization here at Surrey to begin to research and understand our student population. So I met with the system office early on to understand what their dashboard designs were, what their data direction was going to be, and how we could integrate in that effort so that we would complement but not compete. One area that came out very clear as an area that we had to understand first and foremost was FTE. So without going too deep into the concepts associated with FTE, FTE allows us to basically have a data handshake between everything that we do and everything that the system office does. And by a data handshake, I mean that if I can balance that FTE up there, as it turns out for this spring semester, at 1,221 FTE, with the system office reporting, then I'm confident that in the aggregate, my data is going to be apples to apples with the state of North Carolina. That's important because it allows my colleagues here at Surrey Community College, my faculty friends, as well as my staff colleagues, to go into our data and look at our data, and at the same time too, shift over to the North Carolina Community College Systems dashboards and ensure that they've got a complete accurate view, 360-degree view from the classroom all the way up through the state level. So in addition to being able to have that comparison basis across the system office, it's an effective managing tool, a managing platform, so that at any given time, Dr. Shockley or any member of the Surrey Community College community can compare not only their FTE this year, but if you see, we give a historical look back to 1 year. All of this provides the opportunity to maintain a current understanding of where we are with one of our basic platform business components, FTE. And then I want to take just a moment and talk about the doctor that you see up there. This was a design that we implemented this year. And the purpose of the doctor was basically to give an immediate click as to where we are in these main categories. And you can look at them. All of them are supporting this whole issue of retention being the new enrollment. So we have our performance measures up there, and we'll go in through these. And we also have a student attrition dashboard. And then at the same time, too, we also offer up, and this was new with the fall semester, a student attrition counter. So every given day, our friends and our faculty can look around the campus and kind of get a fix as to exactly, you know, where our students are at. Now, in this particular case, as of today, we have roughly 1,023 failing grades. Failing defined as W, WE, WF, and F. And so as of April 22nd, we now have 609 unduplicated students. And throughout the semester, we like to put up little fast facts that point people to various concepts that support this whole idea of same semester reporting. And that's what you're seeing going on here. The system office does a great job. They service an entirely different community to a certain extent than we do. The IR team at Surrey Community College strives to give its information in such a way that it's one, quick and easy for our faculty and our staff to consume as it relates to the immediate needs that they have in the classroom. But that notion of FTE is critical in terms of how we plan our programs, review our operations, and even look at our day-to-day decision-making process. So if you scroll down and we take a look at the system office FTE, and Elizabeth, every time Elizabeth runs through those dashboards, I learn something. But one of the key elements of FTE is being able to understand where we are historically and where do we track. So we do this on a semester by semester basis to ensure the integrity and the correctness of our data relative to the system office. And that's a key component. I think for far too long, many of the colleges have thought, well, that's reporting that's coming to me by the system office. But if you watch very carefully, they do an excellent job of providing the colleges 2 weeks to basically, review their own data and see if it's consistent with the system office. So this is one way. And if you look in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see that we identify the source being the ICR. This is an opportunity for the colleges to go in, look at their FTE or any of the other metrics that Elizabeth pointed out to, and confirm, in fact, in 1920, did we have 3,421.5 FTE? So at the conclusion of every semester, Surrey Community College goes back and double checks its data, make sure semester that we're staying consistent with our friends at the system office. Let's take a look at performance measures now. And again, these are all critical topics to the concept of retention and enrollment. So early on, Dr. Shaw wanted us to be able to say, look, this is where we're at today. These are performance measures that are coming from the system office. We take these to be KPIs. And obviously, there are certain areas, just like all other community colleges, where we're doing very well in, and other areas that we need to prioritize or maybe rethink some of the ways in which we deliver our content, interact with our students, advise, or even bring home the notion that, maybe we've got to, consider the student themselves and how we can better reach the student themselves. And our good friends at Wilkes Community College, Dr. Wilson, for example, has been very, very helpful in helping us as a team now, a team of colleges, a peer institution, as Elizabeth was noting, to actually go in and look at these individual performance measures and see what type of strategies we can come up with as a team. And really, at the end of the day, that's how we achieve that unity of direction and purpose. Let's go to student engagement, if you don't mind. Okay, so coming back to the doctor, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier on, this notion of the fast fact provides us an opportunity to highlight key elements, again, within the same semester, affecting student engagement. One of the key areas that we look at is our online instruction. So if I'm looking at online instruction, and I notice, declining student success rates, my first notion is to go to the online tutor service that we offer and find out just how many students are actually actively engaged. And I suspect that were we to look at most colleges right now, they would see a similar drop in what I'll call student engagement. Student engagement here is being measured as a function of students engaging with the online tutor service. So as you can see, in January, February, and March, we have had a significant drop from the previous years, holding about constant where we did in 2019, But given the relatively small drop in enrollment, in 2020 spring, we were at a little over 3,100 students. And now in 2021 spring, we're a little over 2,900 students, but we have just seen a significant drop in our enrollment. A significant drop in our online engagement, despite a relatively small drop in our enrollment. And this is a continuing trend on our part because we saw the same thing happening in the fall. So the concern here is, how is it possible in the midst of a major pandemic, where so much of our instruction is now moving online, where we would expect, just by the sheer volume and the sheer increase in numbers, to see a corresponding increase in our student engagement metrics, we're actually seeing a decline in our online tutoring service. So the whole point of this direction is to take the concepts being presented in the North Carolina Community College System dashboards, excuse me, and bring them forward as they relate specifically to Surrey Community College, all within the same semester. Let's take a look at enrollment. So now as we come back to enrollment, similar to what you saw Elizabeth showing earlier, we do much of the same thing. We just present it with a slightly different look and feel. A Surrey look and feel, if you will. So here basically you're seeing, again, a breakout of enrollment and the corresponding FTE by curriculum, what we call our Workforce Technology and Continuing Education, and BSP. And all of these dashboards that you see here were basically designed, developed in-house with my team of Robin Slate, Daniel Rakowski, and myself. All right, let's take a look at student attrition. Okay, just if we could, I want to pause here maybe for a minute, and maybe if you could scroll down a little bit. The only way we can really accomplish that 360 view that I was talking about earlier is basically by commingling our dashboards with the systems office dashboards in a simple and easy menu type operation. Now, the system office has done an excellent job of rolling out a tremendous amount of data, as is their charter, to the benefit of the community colleges. And in doing so, they've kind of made a ton of information available that you have to be willing to go in and dig. What we have done is we've said, okay, of the dashboards that we know to be out there publicly presented through the North Carolina Community College System, which ones directly affect us? And you can see we put them right at the top. Overall FTE, curriculum FTE, continuing education FTE, and grade distribution. It's this one topic here, grade distribution, I'd like to talk a little bit about, because we couldn't do this, honestly, were it not for the fact that the system office has done much of the heavy lifting for us. And one of the main key topics that came up as a result of our transition to COVID was this definition of leniency. You know, how do we define leniency? So if you look at the grade distribution, NCCS grade distribution, they did an excellent job of showing just exactly what the grade distributions are at the course level. And so if you put, there you go, thank you, Daniel. Mm-hmm. So as you pull up Surrey Community College, you can see where we stack up in relationship to the other 57 colleges in the system, and we're just pretty much right in the pack. Now, the benefit of this is that we were able to take what might be in many circles considered a sensitive issue and allow the system office to lead the way, do the heavy lifting, present the concept. So in effect, I then can come right in behind it, dovetail in behind it, and write on their work. And so we do the same thing. We just bring it home to a Surrey Community College dashboard. And I'll pause here for a few seconds to give us all a chance to review the grades. And again, everything you see here has been presented in-house, is up and readily available amongst all of my friends and colleagues. And I'll also take a moment, at the end of the day, Tableau, Power BI, Tableau Public, Power BI directories, those are just tools, right? I mean, they're really not the big key here. The big key here is, where does the data take us? What is it showing us? Well, if you were to look at 2020 spring, you'll see that we had an inordinate number of A's and an inordinate number of failing grades, as I believe is common across most of the community colleges in our system. Now, one other quick comment at this point. What you are looking at here is a grade distribution that's been broken out and stored inside a secured part of our cloud, inside a Tableau environment. Whereas the system office presents their grades in Tableau Public. So why the difference? Well, the difference is, in Tableau Public, I can go to the grade level and not release anything that's proprietary or confidential. By putting this in Tableau Public, and let's now go to the other grade distribution. I will be at, let's go to the doctor. Let's go back to the doctor. And then scroll up to the top. And top 20 grade distribution, middle of the board. Thank you. I can do the same thing using Tableau Public, and then make it available not only to myself, but also to my colleagues at other institutions, so that when I have an information discussion about data or data dialogues, it's all out there and easy to present. Because it's really not about the data. The data shows us where the issues are. It can point us in the right direction. But ultimately, this is about people's hearts. And by putting the data out there and making it readily available, we can have open discussions about that. That degree of transparency allows us to go much beyond anything that we would ever hope or expect to be able to maintain within our own silos. And the surprising thing about this is that once you become a data-friendly environment, all of those walls break down, and we're able to have an open and an honest sharing and an open and honest dialogue. Why is that important? Well, because ultimately, at the end of the day, what we really want to understand is, what can we do to help support our failing student population? So while it is true that there's a portion of that population we will not be able to help, there's a significant portion of that population that we may be able to help. And so if you look at the W's, the WE's, the WF's, you'll see where that data map will take you, and you have the opportunity to have a fair discussion about it. Because enrollment and retention work together, as I'm sure Dr. Hickman would agree. All right, let's take a look at student attrition now one more time. So now we're sitting on the same semester reporting model. Excuse me. We're looking at the counter over there. I see that I've got 1,023 failing grades as of this semester. And that represents 578 internet students. So that immediately tells the entire community college that internet, as a single delivery method, accounts for roughly half of our failing grades that are being issued right now. And we see that in the unduplicated student count right below it. Roughly, we break out to 230 males, 379 females. At this point, that's consistent with the general population, but more importantly, that's as of today. So we have taken what basically would have been a 3-year reporting cycle, and we have now consolidated it down into almost a daily or weekly updates. Faculty don't have to wait for the Adobe PDF performance measures to come out to get a look and feel as to how they're doing. They only have to come to the health check, and they have it right in front of them. One more quick one here. Let's take a look at, let's scroll down and take a look at the study we did for the think tank. So we spent a lot of time talking about these as a community. Yeah, I think that'll work for nutrition.
That was the one.
And one of the initiatives that we put forward was this concept of creating a data-friendly environment. And to be honest, I believe the Belk Institute will back me up on this, the presidents of the college are the ones who really have to drive this home. So roughly about once or twice a semester, we get together as faculty, chairs, deans, chief academic officers, and we start marching through the data. So let's click on ACA 122. And this affords us now a chance to go deep into individual courses so that we get a better picture, a better understanding of who the failing students are and where we need to go to help them. So in this particular case, ACA 122 had 123 students that were issued a failing W, a WF, or WE grade in 2020 fall. And so we're able to break it out right there based upon their programs. And then if you look at the middle of the block, you'll see the student status for fall 2020 to spring of 2021. So out of the 123, 78 of them returned to SCC, or excuse me, 73, 28 returned to SCC and retook ACA 122. And this is now real semester reporting. At the time we had this think tank. And already of the 28 that returned to take it a second time, one of those has already been issued a W. And then to the right, you can see the demographics. So it takes that huge picture of data provided to us by the system office and allows us to bring it down to an individual course and have an open dialogue and an open sharing and an open conversation. Let's click English 111 if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing here, course by course, we're able to go through it. Now, interestingly enough, let's take a look at the top 20. Once again, similar to the system office, they too have a top performing 20 courses and a listing of 20 courses that I guess need to be improved upon. So we created our own top 20. It's down at the bottom.
Yeah, it was this one.
The internet. Yeah, there you go. And posted this, and now you'll see this is actually in Tableau Public. And I want to take a moment here because this really does point to the simplicity of it. I don't think it's an overstatement to say that every one of us, all 58 of our community colleges, could have a dashboard like this up and available to their community within less than a week. And that's not an overstatement. If you look up in the upper left-hand corner, we intentionally, similar to what the system office did, we used the Tableau Public platform. And not wanting to go into a heavy technological discussion, I alluded to this earlier, the differences between the platforms. When I'm talking grade distributions and more information that I think is probably sensitive, I bring that inside my firewall, or I bring that inside my secure cloud environment, and I place it in a secure environment that only my faculty and colleagues here at the college can see. But if I'm talking about grade level organization, or excuse me, course level organization, that's information that's identical and comparable to the system office. So once again, by the system office leading the way in how they present their information, I can dovetail right in behind it. So in this case, I'm looking at failing students as a result of total enrollment based upon the fall of 2020. Now, we stole a line from an old late night show, David Letterman. Some of us may remember David Letterman, where he used to have his top 10. Well, we chose the term the top 20. These are the top 20 courses that we want to take a look at on any given semester. They're critical to our students. They're critical to our operation, and more importantly, they're critical to our communities. They're predominantly gateway courses. So every semester, we want to understand where we're going there. if we were to come here as a community college and stop at this point, we would say with certain exceptions, maybe English 111 and ACA 122, that overall failing grades as a function of total enrollment is not that big of an issue. You have to go to the next level. You have to dig a little. And so faculty, if they click on the internet course analysis, they're presented with this distribution. So I'll stop here and give you all a chance to take a look at it. So very clearly, what we notice here is, again, that yellow column on the right represents the total number of failing grades that we had last semester. The column on the right represents the portion of the total grades that were internet-based failing grades. So it doesn't require heavy statistical analysis to notice very quickly that what we're looking at is an internet problem. And I want to pause here and kind of emphasize this. We were able to notice that trend well in advance and prior to the shutdown associated with COVID. Dr. Shockley was able to stand up and have an open conversation with his faculty almost a year before COVID came in about these type of issues. So it wasn't like, oh, wow, we have to lock down and everything moves to the internet. And oh, by the way, we have an internet problem that we got to look at. Instead, it was, you know what? We have internet issues that we need to address. So we looked at a couple of different programs and we collaborated with our friends at Wilkes Community College as well as other peer institutions. And we said, you know what we should do? We should consider quality matters training through the VLC. So as a result of this data, which is basically riding on the coattails of the system office data, we were able to initiate a plan whereby now roughly over half of our faculty, or coming up quickly, half of our faculty have now been certified through quality matters training. And being the statisticians that we are, Daniel, Robin, and myself, we go back and we benchmark at this point. You know, we anticipate that quality matters training will make a difference, but we'll benchmark, trust, and verify. And then along the same path, we also give that same opportunity to look back. So in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the 2019 data. Again, this was even before COVID. We had this up well in advance of COVID. Now, as time goes on, we change our look and feel a little bit. And in 2019, I consolidated all my data into one sheet, basically. And we found that that was a little bit overwhelming, so we broke it over. But the real point here is once again, if you look at English 111 and ACA 122, you know, they continue to draw attention to themselves. And again, by having these type of data discussions, you know, fundamentally no different than what we all are doing right now, we're able to make certain improvements, and we note the improvements as we go through. And again, I want to draw your attention to the Tableau public statement that you see in the upper left-hand corner. All of us could do this for free within a week. You know, we have a team of 3, that's true. But, you know, the truth of the matter is this is 4 columns of data across 20 courses for a given semester, and it's data that we would have to report regardless of what other activities we have. So we know the data. In this case, Tableau Public provides a free tool, and it also provides a free platform to put your dashboards up onto. But the truth is, it really doesn't matter whether it's Tableau or Tableau Public or Power BI. Again, these are only tools. They can provide a roadmap. I'll go back to my colleague and friend, Dr. Wilson. At the end of the day, it's got to be in the hearts. But you can have that discussion here in a logical fashion. Now, many people come back and say, well, you know, Faulkner, why do you use 20 courses? The answer is very simple. Again, it's a statistical issue. It's not a normative judgment. We're not making, you know, one of the things we stress is that in these discussions, we're not looking to judge. We're just looking to find out. But the reality is these 20 courses are the high volume courses at Surrey Community College. I can look at these 20 courses and I'm going to touch roughly 43% of every single grade that gets issued every semester. So now we see it in its complete layout. We take it from the broad view at the system office. We bring it down to the top 20, which is a manageable concept for most people. And then we go one step further and we drill into the courses. But again, we could not do this. And this isn't meant to be gratuitous praise. We could not have done this had the system office not carried the heavy ball for us and actually made it happen in advance of our efforts. So let's go back to the doctor. We'll close at the doctor. And I see we're running short on time, so I don't want to take. I could, like Elizabeth, I'd be happy to run through our dashboards all day long. But if you look to the doctor and get the health check on Surrey Community College, which was basically Dr. Shockley's idea, those 609 unduplicated students, and as Elizabeth pointed out to when she was doing the peer comparisons, we are primarily a rural community. I see 609 families up there. I see 609 brothers and 609 sisters, aunts, uncles, future students, current students, past students. And, I can't help but wonder, what do we need to do to help improve our retainment of those students? Not simply to drive up the enrollment, which is a noble cause, no doubt about that, and what we should all be really focused in on, because at the end of the day, it's about those 609 students. But what can I do to actually help my community? Because frankly, in a poor rural community, I don't know what those 600 plus students are doing after they leave Surrey Community College. So I will close there and hand back to my my friend, Dr. Seaman, and I look forward to your questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Daniel and Michael, for sharing what you're doing at Surrey. That is really exciting and inspiring, I think, to many people on the call, because you made it really accessible, and we're really proud to have you as partners and glad you're able to share that today. We just wanted to wrap here and talk about a few next steps and how you can take next steps on your campus, but also how you may be able to partner with us as we move into our next phases of work around data visualization. So the first thing that I just want to highlight is this presentation, as well as all of our dashboard work over the last year and a half, has been about increasing access and transparency. For a long time, information was very limited coming out of the system office, limited to standard reports and performance measures. Many of our metrics are lagging indicators, as was mentioned by Dr. Kelly. And we know that enrollment managers need more. You need more detailed information. You need information about what's happening at your institution, looking over time, but also how does your institution compare to your neighbors, compare to other institutions of similar size or in your region across the state. So that's why we have emphasized so much the access to the information in a public way on our website, and the longitudinal comparisons as well as the peer comparisons. So we feel like we've done a really good effort in this space around increasing access and transparency, and we're going to continue to push out products towards that goal. One thing that I wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of, though, is that our foundation is shifting right now in the system office. So we have an old legacy data warehouse, and hopefully you've heard we are migrating to a new data warehouse. We're really excited about this effort, but it is a huge effort and it's taking time and resources. What this is going to yield for us is expanding the quantity of data that we have access to. So we have been limited in our dashboards to the information that is submitted in the CE registration card, the CCSR, or our monthly LEIS reports, those, or the ICR reports. Those are primarily our sources right now, but we are moving into a space where we are going to be able to access near-time data, nightly information about enrollment and students as they are entering and exiting your institution. We're really excited about that. That's a space we've been wanting to be in for a long time. And we know that that is a space that's going to give us the opportunity to present more useful information. The near-time data has been a big gap, and we are excited to be able to start planning on how we're going to use that information for creating insights. The additional data sources that we're hoping to get access to is information, for example, like on the student application, or partnerships with DPI, where we're able to get information about the pipeline of students that are coming to our institution. We have new vendor partners that are entering into the space that are going to bring in new data sources with Destiny and the credential work that they're doing on the CE side. All of those are really exciting opportunities. And something that we hope you also are engaged in as we are transitioning into this new world around near-time data sources and new partners in this space. So keep your eyes and ears open for conversations about those things on your campus coming soon. With that, and with all of this dashboard work, we have uncovered, not surprisingly, quite a few data quality issues. So as we start peeling back layers of the onion, and as we start disaggregating data in new and different ways, it quickly reveals that we don't have a single way of inputting and capturing data. We see variations by college. We see variations in workflow, and that makes it hard for us to do insights at the state level. So as we're doing this work, part of our effort is going to data cleanup and data quality. And we have been working very closely with our BSAs to reach out to the data stakeholders on the campuses to highlight when those issues occur. So I think that work is going to increase as we move forward, especially as we think about bringing on these new information systems like Destiny and Advances. We don't want to populate our new systems with bad data, and we don't want to populate our dashboards with bad data. And I think most often we hear when we reach out to colleges that they weren't even aware that the bad data exists. And we want you to be able to have trust in the information that we're putting out, and we want you to feel like it is an accurate representation of what's going on in your campus. So we know that your IR people are great in helping identify these issues, but the data entry people, the people who are closest to the information that's being gathered, are going to be critical resources and partners. So this really does need to be a campus effort to continue to maintain quality inputs into our systems if we're going to continue to leverage this data for reporting and decision making. With that being said, I want to highlight the emphasis on data collaboration. Our partners at Surrey are a great example of how your IR team can be an excellent resource for you as you are starting to have this data-friendly environment, data-driven decision-making conversations on your campus. It is really important that you have a good partnership with your IR team. We're glad that our CC planners were invited to today's session, and we hope that this presentation will spur some conversations with you locally. We would love to know if there are good examples of that collaboration already happening. We would love for you to share that with us so that we can continue to promote those promising practices. Another thing that we are interested in is having some input to our system office efforts around creating new enrollment management dashboards. So our initial phase one of our dashboard roadmap was primarily focused on the themes that we had identified in the strategic plan. As I mentioned, we have some additional access dashboards that we will be working on in the coming months, and a program enrollment dashboard and dashboards related to CE course enrollment. So those things are all forthcoming, but we're already planning for that next phase, things that aren't even scoped out on our roadmap. And with the introduction of this near time data, we think the possibilities are really wide open and would love to get your feedback and your participation in developing the concepts of what data would be most useful for us to focus on displaying at the system office. I will jump back really quickly to an earlier bullet that I meant to mention. Michael Faulkner said that, this is a low bar to accessing the technology. Often folks think that technology is going to be the barrier, but everything that we've done to date has been through a public tool, Tableau Public. And everything that we're going to do moving forward is going to be in either Tableau Public or Power BI. I know that we have a mix out there in the community. Some colleges are heavy Tableau users, some colleges are Power BI users, and some colleges like us, and I think like Surrey, don't feel like we have to choose, and we're going to use both. So we're going to have an approach moving forward where our public-facing dashboards stay on the Tableau platform, and our student level dashboards and information, and likely much of the real-time dashboards that we're going to be producing are going to be available in Power BI. So they really are and can be seen as complementary tools, and both have a low kind of entry cost in terms of both training and actual costs for the platform. I know our colleagues in our IT division, our data warehouse team, has been actively promoting Power BI since January, and I imagine there will be more sessions available in the coming months. So keep an eye out for that, and talk with your IR team and develop a strategy around how you want to access the data moving forward. But we will continue to leverage both tools and continue to aim towards these goals. I just wanted to highlight some bullet points here for you so that you can see what's on the horizon for us. I did want to invite any remaining questions, but I do have 2 questions for you. So the first question is, if you are aware of examples of promising practices that exist where your college or another college is using data to inform enrollment planning and decision making, please type that in the chat. We got a call yesterday. I hope our friend and colleague Chihoko Terry is on the call. Someone was really promoting what Richmond is doing, and they've got some nice dashboards on their website that are also publicly available that's showing that near time trend of enrollment at their college. So we love seeing examples like that. If you are aware of any that you think are particularly useful and powerful, please share them in the chat or shoot an email to us at RPM, because as we develop these system level tools, we look for best practices, and we want to make sure that all 58 colleges have the ability to benefit from useful information and visualizations, and we know that resources are not the same across all 58. So any ideas or any resources that you know that already exist, please share those, and we will make a list and use those to inform our decision making. And then my second question is, are you interested in helping us? We have been tasked by the Enrollment Management Task Force to think about how we can make data more accessible for enrollment planning purposes. Again, focusing on that near time data that we're going to be able to begin using once the new warehouse is built. We want to get some input, not just from IR people. We love our IR counterparts at the colleges, but also from the enrollment managers. What types of questions are you interested in? What types of reports do you use most often? What do you do that takes a lot of time that you wish didn't take as much time because you rely on it so heavily and you wish it didn't take a lot of time for you to compile? Those are the types of questions that would really help us inform what types of tools we make available as we move forward. So if you are interested, if this is like getting your heart beating a little bit faster because you think this is a great place to spend your energy, I don't think it would be a huge lift on your end, other than just your knowledge and your passion and your interest in improving what we make available to our colleges. So the way that this would likely look is how we used a team in developing our first phase of our dashboards. We had a group that volunteered that we would send out information to and say, this is our roadmap. Do you have any ideas about what should be the first priority? What should the metrics include? We would get feedback on concepts. And then as we tried to implement those concepts and develop the dashboards, we would give early previews to this kind of focus group of IR professionals, and we would get really good feedback. So I think it was helpful for them to kind of see what was coming, but also very helpful for us to get feedback on how we present information and what's going to be most valuable to a team at a college. So we're looking to develop a second round of colleagues who can help us develop this next phase of enrollment management dashboards. And we want to make sure that everyone knows that that is open to CE, basic skills, curriculum, enrollment managers, registrars, academic advisors, whomever, IR folks. We don't want to limit that, but if you are interested and that is an area you're passionate about, we could use your help. So please let us know. You don't have to put it in the chat if you don't want to commit right away, but you can also email us at rpm@ncommunitycolleges.edu to express your interest. So those are my 2 calls to the group. Please share in the chat if you have any input, and I will turn it back over to Dr. McCormick to see if there were any content or follow-up questions from the audience that we could address in our last few minutes.
Thank you, everyone, and it's been a pleasure, and I'll actually turn it over to Dr. Hickman if he has any final thoughts.
I am looking through the chat to see if there's any pressing questions. Hold on. That was not answered during the presentation. Jonathan Tyndall asks, any tips for dashboard FTE projections for contact hours versus membership hour courses for the current semester? Did we answer that?
I don't think we specifically answered that because that's not something we have done yet, but that is definitely something that I think would fall in under this enrollment management dashboard umbrella. Again, as we get access to that near time data and think about what are the leading indicators of enrollment management and what are the data sources that we could use to show, to display on a dashboard. I think that type of dashboard would fall into this collection that would be under enrollment management. But I do believe there are people who are already doing this. I'm not sure. I think Richmond may be doing it. Wilson may be doing it. There are colleges who are already doing this type of dashboard locally. And if you know of someone, please type it in the chat. But that's not something we're doing yet, but it is definitely on our roadmap.
Okay. Do you break down by primary program or demographic fields? That's another question.
Yes, so we get a lot of requests for program data, and we do have a program-specific dashboard on our roadmap for release, hopefully this summer. Right now, our challenge with Tableau Public and the historical data that we have faced is the size of the file. is limiting, because we're trying to do 58 colleges, a whole system worth of data. So we've had to strategically break out our dashboards into different levels of disaggregation, and to keep it manageable from a user experience standpoint, we are breaking out our program enrollment into its own dashboard, and that will be forthcoming this summer.
Okay. Someone asked for this recording be posted on ServiceNow. It will be sent out via email, and I can talk to the IT department to see if it can be put on ServiceNow. So I will work on that. Let's see. I'm scrolling down. Mainly just a lot of interest to join you,
Great.
and your team. Yes. So anyone who wants to be a part of this, please make sure you email Dr. Seaman's team.
Our hope in this would be that next year around this time, the product of this working group would be some new enrollment dashboards, enrollment management dashboards that we could display and make available for the team. So a clear deliverable would be, a collection of enrollment management dashboards within the next year. And so that would be the timeline of commitment. For providing input and feedback in an ongoing basis to dashboard work related to enrollment management.
Okay, and I will reiterate Dr. Seaman's comment earlier. You may receive calls from either the BSAs or someone from the system office regarding your workflows. We're not picking on you. We're just saying that we want the information to be as accurate as possible. And we do understand that you have your own individual and local workflows, but we want to make sure that the information coming in is as clean as possible. So if we call you asking you to look at your workflow and maybe change some things, don't take offense to that, please. We just really want to make sure the information that is coming in is accurate. So I want to make that note.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say, sorry to interrupt, this is Elizabeth.
Please go ahead.
For the people that have volunteered in the chat, I have noted everyone down. So thank you for volunteering, and I've captured you there. And someone asked if we need volunteers with Tableau technical experience, and I would say no. I think mostly what we need is just people who know the data and know what what's helpful and that you would want to see that would help you.
Okay, thank you.
That question.
With that being said, our hour and 30 minutes has come to a close. So I want to thank our moderator and our presenters. They did a wonderful job. Thank you. It was very informative. And just know that the Strategic Enrollment Management Task Force will continue to hold these professional development sessions throughout the year. And also we are in the process of identifying colleges who want us to just come to the college and have a conversation about what you're doing in enrollment management, such as today, your data. What are you doing to engage your students? So if you're interested in that, please email me. It's nothing punitive at all. It's just for us to have a conversation so we all can have our understanding of enrollment management. So if you are interested in that, please send me an email and we can set up some time and some dates, and we will come to your college and have a great time. With that, please have a wonderful day, and thank you for being a part of this session today. Take care.